Have you ever just been doing something on your phone and it just suddenly dies and will not turn back on no matter what you do, and you borrow someone else's phone to Google a troubleshooting solution, and it turns out that it's just dead forever and there's nothing you can do about it, so you roll into an existential crisis because you're a millennial and you need technology to survive and you literally cannot function without it, so you just curl up into the fetal position and cry? Yeah, me either. But my phone did die last weekend. We were 2.5 hours away from home at a con where I intended to film content and do a little vlog of the event. My partner was feeding our baby and I was taking some photos because they were just so cute, and my phone's screen froze for a minute and then it just went black and nothing I did would get it back on. And my partner had used their phone to Google some possible solutions and none of them worked. They had the same phone until about 6 months ago and their phone did the same exact thing as what mine had just done, but for them it took longer to happen. There was warning signs for about a month that it was dying, and then it did actually black screen a few times, but they were able to get it back on before it died for a final time. So we knew this was a possibility for my phone. It's a known issue with that phone type. But mine gave out just suddenly, no warning that it was about to completely die. It had been acting up a little bit in the last couple of weeks, but nothing so out of the ordinary that I thought it was going to literally just stop working so suddenly. I thought I would have a little bit of warning the way my partner did, but I didn't. And my phone did just die. And I found that I didn't really care. I think that a lot of us ask ourselves questions like, what would I do if my phone suddenly quit working? And I was far from home. Because for a lot of us, our phones are our lifeline to many things these days: navigation, communication. It's there so we can look up information, the weather, what restaurants are nearby, what the traffic situation is, parking, for emergencies, and it's just there to make our lives simpler and easier. And I do love smartphones. I'm not one of those people who's like anti-technology or anything like that. I do love smartphones. They're an amazing piece of tech. It's so many things wrapped up into one, and I am grateful for that. It saves me a lot of time and hassle because there's so many things contained into a single small device. And that's all I need to take with me, and I have all of those things just packed into one. But my partner did thankfully have their phone and it was working, so I still had access to all of the information that is available via smartphones that I find so useful. I just didn't have mine, and I was surprisingly okay with that. Since I still had access to the information, it was all good. Sure, I couldn't take photos or send and receive messages, but I was okay with that. I don't usually think to take photos anyway unless I intend to share something, and unless I reach out to someone else first. I don't receive messages, so there was really nothing to worry about there. So that was Saturday. Sunday was my first full day without a cell phone since I got my first one back in 2008, and I was fine. I used my backup phone to keep up my Duolingo streak. I cannot have the owl coming after me, and also to keep up with a streak that I have on a mental health app. But other than that, I was just without a phone. I didn't really notice, if I'm being completely honest. The biggest thing was Duo and my mental health app streaks, and I was able to get those with my backup phone, and I didn't really use the backup phone for anything else. It doesn't have calling and texting capabilities, it just has Wi-Fi, doesn't even have data. But I didn't need it for anything else. I only used those two apps on there, and that was it. And I thought that was going to be the end of this experience, but I actually ended up doing some reflecting on the whole thing. I thought that this would just be another blip in my life, just another day, but it ended up being a super existential day, which was very unexpected. I think it was good though. It felt very cleansing. I'm not a phone addict, the way a lot of younger folk are, and also some older folk. I'm just not a phone addict the way that a lot of people are these days. So I didn't think there was really any reflecting to do on my relationship with my phone at this point. I thought that I had had all of that figured out in the past few years. I didn't think there was anything more to do with it. I don't have notifications turned on for any apps except for Duo. Again, I can't have the owl coming after me. and my mental health care app. I have app timers on for pretty much every other app that I use regularly, which isn't really a whole lot. And I just don't spend a lot of time on my phone the way a lot of people do. I don't scroll a whole lot. It's just not something that I personally do. No judgment if you do, though. I'm just sharing my experience. But it turns out, anyway, that there was more to learn about myself in my relationship with my phone. And I realized I don't really have any type of social media addiction or reliance. Like, I didn't even notice that I couldn't log in and access the apps. I realized I only log in and look at it because I have my phone next to me. But if my phone isn't there, I'm not really thinking about it. And so on Sunday, when I didn't have my phone, it was out of sight, out of mind completely. And I also realized, like I mentioned earlier, that I'm the only one who reaches out to people for conversations. And I realized that once my new phone came, and at the time of recording this, I am still waiting on it. It's taking a few days to get here, but again, like that's whatever. All of these epiphanies came on Sunday, that first full day that I didn't have my phone. Anyway, I realized that once my new phone came, that there wouldn't be any messages waiting for me. Nobody was going to reach out to me in the 2-3 days that I was without a phone. And I know that probably sounds incredibly sad, like I don't have any friends or many friends or something like that. And maybe, I guess, it makes me feel a little bit sad, but I also thought about the people who would reach out to me if I were gone for longer. And I came up with 4 names, and that is enough for me. And like, besides, the relationship I have with my friends is very fluid. We're all adults, we're all very busy people with busy lives, and we catch up when we can. And when we do catch up, it's always as if no time has passed. Sometimes we don't get to talk for 2 weeks, 2 months, however long. It's always as if no time has passed. And I love those relationships. Those are the relationships that I need and the ones that help me thrive. And I do wish I were better about keeping up with folks. I kind of wish my friends reached out to me more often, but I think the reason why I have the friends that I have and why my friends have me as their friend is because we're all really similar in that aspect. Like we all just have a very similar personality and we all need a similar relationship, which is one that can just be very fluid. Like I said, like it just comes and goes as we have the time in our lives for each other. We never stop caring about each other just because we're not talking every day or anything like that. And I found both solace and sadness in that fact. Like relationships are really hard when you're an adult. And for me, especially when you're an introverted millennial who works from home and has a baby, it is the perfect storm of not being good at staying in touch with people and not being good at reaching out to people. And yeah, all of this existential reflecting was because my freaking phone died suddenly. It's so weird how little things like this can cause such an upset in your mind. Like I said, this wasn't an upset because I was devastated or anything, but the incident made me unintentionally reflect on my relationship with my phone and what all of that means for my life. So while I'm annoyed it happened, and it happened so suddenly, seeing my response was kind of cool. It was, it was an IRL what-if scenario unfolding before me, and to me, my response was perfect in my mind. I didn't panic, I didn't get upset, I'm not addicted to my phone. Great. I can reflect on my relationships and feel satisfied and happy with them and with where I'm at in life, which is also great. So yeah, this incident and the reflection that's come with it has made me realize that all the work I've done on myself the last 5 or so years is really paying off. I'm satisfied with my life, with or without my phone. I'm content just being in the moment. My relationships won't suffer if I'm away for a few days. I really appreciate all of those things. I appreciate the satisfaction that I've found with my life. I appreciate all of my friends and how we engage with one another. It's very wonderful, and yeah, well, I guess it was something I didn't really think about a whole lot because it was just those engagements were things that just happened naturally, very fluidly within all of our lives, and Yeah, without my phone for a couple of days and reflecting on that, I realized that, and that was pretty cool. Everything in life is good. And I got confirmation of that because my phone died. Probably the least expected thing to happen when your phone suddenly dies when you're 2.5 hours away from home trying to film content. But hey, I try to live my life by going with the flow, and this experience has shown me that I'm very much able to do so. So now I have to ask, what would your response be if you'd have been in my situation? Would you be able to turn off your phone and shut it away in a cabinet for 48 hours? If you wanted to go the less dramatic route, then letting your phone just very suddenly die, would you able to be just do that for yourself? Um, and what do you think you would discover about yourself if you did? And if you've done something like this, or if you do something like this, was your response what you expected or was it unexpected? I made this whole video, obviously, for me. My response was a little unexpected for me, from the what if question that I have asked myself about this situation. I'm very pleased with myself. I'm very proud of myself. I deserve a pat on the back for that. Anyway, how do you think your life would change from such a small experiment? And again, if you have done something like this, did your life change? This just happened for me, and I don't know if it's going to ultimately be life changing, but I think the reflecting that I've done has definitely been good for me, and it has really made me appreciate my relationships with my friends more, and it has made me, I guess, appreciate that I can very much go with the flow and that life is good. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you're so inclined about all of these potential experiences or your potential reflections on something similar or what have you that you have done for yourself with losing your phone, whether you've lost it intentionally or if it just died on you. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to take care of yourselves.